the Earth is flat, motionless. Like, you know, I've seen enough evidence at this point to say that I would say it's a law.
We've all heard our fair share of conspiracy theories, but an ancient one that's had a strong resurgence in recent years is the mother of them all. And that's the belief of some that the Earth is flat.
How did the flat Earth theory first become a part of your life?
Well, I've always been into conspiracy theories. Ever since I was probably like 13 or 14, I just started looking into JFK.
We choose to go to the moon.
The moon landing being a hoax, which it certainly was. Why would they fake the moon landing? I knew there was something about Antarctica, that like Hitler was really interested in Antarctica, but then they just kind of sanctioned it off with the Antarctic Treaty, and I was like, why is all that? And I started looking into it further. I actually studied physics in college. If I don't make any assumptions, what can I assert from the laws of physics? And it turns out what we call laws, which are not laws, they're just theories. Heliocentric theory, Big Bang theory, you know, macroevolution, Darwinian evolution theory, and they didn't really have scientific evidence. But then they started teaching us this as fact in school. You know, we all want to believe that we live in a good, wholesome world where people don't lie, where we're not lied to since birth, and that everything we learn in school is correct. And, you know, people just want to believe that. And I certainly would have liked to believe that.
With most conspiracy theories, though, there is an evident winner in the end. There's a reason why the United States would fake the moon landing. 9/11 being an inside job, whether you believe it or not, it does make sense that they would want to motivate the American public to get behind a war in the Middle East. Who wins with convincing us that the Earth is flat?
I would say in all of these, follow the money. NASA got somewhere in the order of $60 billion back in '69 to go to the moon. They've been continuing to get, I think they were getting $40 billion a year up until recently. Now they're only getting $20 billion. All the math doesn't lie. The heliocentric theory states that the Earth is a ball that has a curvature of 0.666 feet per mile squared. There's a lot of cases where if you see, you know, across a lake that's 50 miles and you can see the city and most of the buildings, and you shouldn't be able to. They should be down, hidden behind a curvature. Is the Earth moving? I mean, our common sense is that it's not. Our common sense is that we're stationary. You know, if there's an earthquake, as we know in LA, we notice it. You know, it doesn't just happen and, oh yeah, it's just, you know, the Earth moving and it just happens all the time. No, we notice it.
But if the entire Earth is moving, then we wouldn't necessarily feel the motion, right? Like I don't feel like I'm moving when I'm in a plane because the entire plane is moving through the air. You know,
unless that plane goes up, goes down, or turns. You could throw a ball in a plane that's just moving straight and it would fall back in your hand. But if that plane starts turning, that ball is going to fly the opposite direction. The heliocentric theory doesn't state that the Earth is just moving in a straight line. It states that it's on a ball rotating like this as it rotates around the sun, as the sun rotates around the galaxy rotates around the universe, and we're literally going millions of miles an hour right now, according to the heliocentric model. Not only that, but there's counter-rotating forces. So what we should experience is centrifugal force should be increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. You know, my conclusion was that the universe is sort of magical. There's a magical quality to it because that's unexplainable by physics. So instead of actually applying empirical science, where we're observing, okay, is the Earth moving? Well, we can use an interferometer to determine whether it is, and it doesn't seem to be. So instead of just admitting that, what they did was they said, well, let's think of some math that can kind of explain what's happening here while we still hold on to this assumption that the Earth is a spinning ball moving through space.
I understand that there's probably some trickery, there's some dishonesty with the United States space travel. But I've seen a ship go into space. I've seen it leave the Earth, and I've watched it, you know, at Cape Canaveral. There has been space travel, right?
Did you see a a ship go into space, or did you just see it go off into the distance? Did it go straight up, or did it go an angle? That's because it's following that, that parabola. All rockets do that. They follow that curve and then they go back into the ocean. Recently, I think there were some explorers that were doing some deep sea diving down by Cape Canaveral, which is usually off limits, but they found an ancient structure down there. What they also found, they found thousands of the rockets, fuselage rockets, and the rockets themselves. They were not going to space, they were going into the ocean. It was kind of around maybe 2 years ago that others started really catching on to it.
Aaron may believe in something difficult to grasp, but he's not alone. Every month in Los Angeles, dozens of flat earthers get together, pouring in from across the state. They've built a community, a safe place to share their thoughts with like-minded individuals. Some new and timid to take the leap, others well accustomed to dismissing everything they've ever been taught. Most come in search of the same thing: solace and acceptance, but more importantly, the truth.
You told me that you never really believed the Earth was round, even since you were a little kid.
No, I remember a friend and I talking about it. He was like, "Do you think the world spins?" And I was like, "No, it sounds simple. Do we feel like we're moving?"
I look at it more in a spiritual way because I am a divine being, and I feel that I came from a creator, and I know that I didn't just come from out of nothing.
I had seen through a lot of the other deceptions, and I still had a hard time with this one. I didn't want to even think I could have been deceived about something this grand.
My memories play more role in my life than people do, and I remember the Earth being round. I remember the space missions. I remember the landing on the moon. So to take these memories that are so personal to me and say that they're all wrong, that takes some getting used to.
So I went to the observatory and I said, "Can I see the satellites with your telescope?" And they said no. And I said, "Well, how do I know they're there? How can I prove to myself that the satellites are there?" And their response was, "They're there," literally.
I have no idea what the shape the thing we're on is. I mean, it could be, a hamburger shape for all I know.
It could be an infinite plane. There may not be an edge. Maybe they're hiding extra land.
So when we destroy this part, all the
That's
rich
right,
people
we can
go
go
live
somewhere
there?
else, yeah.
And I'm not just saying just look at the evidence of flat Earth, look at the evidence of globe Earth. Look at all of it.
If I see something in you that makes you question because it means that you have a creative mind, when you create your world, does it matter what someone else says or thinks?
People are violently angry at flat earthers.
The ball suckers, as I affectionately call them, they will get nasty sometimes. And we're flatheads, and we'll take that title.
It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters what you think. It matters what's important to you, and you should be able to do whatever it is that you're happy doing, regardless of other people think, as long as it doesn't hurt someone else.
With the flat earth community as a whole, it doesn't necessitate a type of person other than the fact that you just need to be truly skeptical of things.
What could be presented to you that could possibly change your mind?
I mean, I've been saying for a while that if someone were to present curvature, or movement, it's like illogical for me to even think about right now.
Has it had any effect on your personal life, family, friends, romance?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been affected. I've always been sort of the black sheep. My family, even though they won't ever bring up the subject, they don't judge me for it, they don't, generally they don't. I mean, we've had a few arguments.
If you were to have children, would you instruct them to follow the flat earth theory knowing that it could ostracize them, could even potentially put them in danger, or would you kind of toe the party line to help them fit in a little bit more?
I would encourage them to form their own conclusions. I'll tell them that most of the world believes this, but here's what I and a number of others believe, and here's why, and I want you to form your own opinions. And the fact that the academic systems are not doing that is a huge red flag.
Do you ever fear that by trying to open up more people's eyes to this idea that some people responsible for this conspiracy would come after you?
This is an opportunity. And I'm just using this opportunity to the fullest by sharing these things, by investigating these things, by being honest with myself. If that means my death, then I accept that, and I have accepted that for quite a long time. I understand why people are going to be resistant to this idea. I mean, how arrogant am I to think that, I'm smarter than all these PhD physicists that, and I have discovered that all their physics is wrong and that we need to recreate, we need to start over from scratch and create a whole new physics, a whole new science. If I can't assert something logically based on real self-honest reasoning, then I'm not going to assert it. I'm not going to claim it as fact at all, or even a belief of mine. If we knew that we were on a flat, motionless plane that was the center of all we observe, wouldn't we have a different outlook in life?
Expecting to find oddballs on the outskirts of society, what I found instead was a rather normal group of people. Relatable, easy to talk with. I felt no pressure to conform. I wasn't preached to. Whether you believe Aaron or any other of the men and women I visited with, I came away focused on one common thread, and that's to look further. Wherever you are in life, do your research, form your own conclusions. We have the freedom to do just that, so we might as well use it. See you on the fringe.